What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Barco, and on today's show, we're debuting a new series idea called Weekend Conversations. And the idea behind this is I want to pick a topic every weekend going forward and just sit and chat about it. Eventually, I want to turn this into a live podcast, if you will, where we're going to sit and we're going to pick a topic and talk about it, and we can all get in on the group chat together. And everyone could share their stories or experiences or whatever it may be on the topic we happen to be talking about. So I don't really have an outline or a plan or anything, so I figured I'd just hop on for, 15, 20 minutes. And today's topic is how I fell in love with sports games. And so what prompted this is a couple of weeks ago, I appeared on the Digital to Dice podcast with Dave and Ron. Had an excellent time. I'm still getting feedback on that show from 2-3 weeks ago. It was an awesome time. And what came up quite a few times was, you're a younger guy. How the heck did you find this niche hobby? And then second of all, what made you want to do this podcasting / video thing that you do on YouTube? And so I'm going to take you back to when I was really young, actually. I used to, and I can kind of show you a little bit of what I did. So I used to sit in the hospital, and I literally would say, okay, the Cubs are playing the Reds today, and the Yankees are playing the Red Sox today. And I would put them on a sheet of paper just like this, and I would literally flip a coin. Heads, the team on top wins. Tails, the team on the bottom. So let's just pretend this die 1, 2, 3 is heads. Oh, look at that. Cubs win, Reds lose, and the Yankees lose to Boston. Just like that. And I would do entire 120 game seasons just like that. It was a way for me to pass the time, and it was a way for me to kind of escape a little bit. Before making this video, I was looking around on some old files. I don't own a computer that old, okay? And we're going back 25 years. And I was really trying to find some of my records of these coin flip leagues, because I'm not kidding you, I would make records of these leagues. I'll never forget as long as I live, I had a baseball league that, honest to God, was in like the 15th or 20th, something crazy like that season. And I would do this for a while. Then I started getting a little imaginative about it. I would put I'd bring back the Brooklyn Dodgers, or I would have the Chicago White Stockings, and then I would start making these names up of these teams. And it was kind of cool to just see the teams rise and fall on the standings. So I did that for a little while, and then, like any red-blooded American male teenager, I found video games. And I still play video games quite a bit. Not actually, I've kind of waned off on video games over the last year or so. And but I played a lot, and people always ask me, what'd you play? And I was never a Halo guy. I was never Call of Duty guy. I mean, I owned a couple of Call of Duty games. I never really got into them. I was always a sports gamer. Madden, the show, NHL, NBA 2K. I mean, I've played them all, and I played them all in abundance. And I always wanted to kind of take the Bears, right, if we're playing Madden, and draft the team the way, not a fantasy draft, but take the Bears as they were, and then, trade this guy, pick up this quarterback, move this guy over here. And, I mean, by week 3, they would look nothing like their real-life counterparts, and I would try and win the Super Bowl. And I joke around with my wife or with friends all the time and say I'm a 10-time Super Bowl champion. Of course, it's BS, but I got to tell you, some of those teams that I built felt like a Super Bowl team, because God knows the real Bears haven't given me a Super Bowl in my lifetime. I did some other cool things. Like I had a tournament. I would every year when the new NHL game would come out, I would set up a tournament with the newest updated rosters, and I would see who would win the Stanley Cup champ, and I would keep track of these things. I mean, I literally would keep Word docs of these things on in my computer. No one would look at them. If you looked at them, you would think I'm a crazy person. Who are you making this for? Your imaginary friends? And in some ways, yes. And the imaginary friends were me, myself, and I. I'm sure a therapist would love to get a hold of this video and and diagnose me. But I always had a cool imagination. I would say. I play music as well, so like I feel like that has something to do with it because my brain is always trying to create things. Um, so then now let's fast forward to 2019. Well, actually, let's go to 2017. I can actually pinpoint when this happened. All right, so it's 2017, and the Cubs had just gotten blown out essentially by the Dodgers in the NLCS. I think the Dodgers won the series in five. And I remember being at game four. Yeah, game four, which is if I'm not mistaken, the only game the Cubs won in the series. It was Jake Arrieta's last start with the Cubs, and before his comeback years later, which we don't talk about. And I remember walking out of the stadium, and I kind of felt like the series was over, even though we had just won the game. And, of all the magic that was the year before, and I knew Jake was leaving, and I knew they were going to have to make some tough decisions. And I thought to myself, it would be really cool if I could step into the shoes of, at that time, Theo Epstein, and what would I do if I could take the Cubs as constituted with all the budgetary constraints that they have in real life, and what could I do with this team? So I started quite literally Googling baseball general manager games, and I found Out of the Park Baseball, and immediately, I don't think I grabbed my credit card fast enough and downloaded it on my computer, and before you know it, I had sunk hours and hours and hours and hours into OOTP. And the Cubs, I think I won 6 straight World Series or something crazy like that. As a matter of fact, no, we didn't win every World Series. We got to 6 straight World Series. And the reason why I know that is there again, keeping all the records in my MacBook here. So, and that sort of just fed my love for, oh, well, here's a sandbox game, right? It's sort of like, I would almost describe it as like augmented reality. You have all the players with all the real life stats, and they progress closer to real life or regress closer to real life than, let's say, the show, or back in the day, MLB baseball on EA Sports used to make a game for you kids out there. I know I'm young. They behaved more like their real life counterparts, and I could set concession stand prices, and I could set promotional dates, and I could go and play historical seasons. Like I played a whole season quickly. I didn't play every game, obviously, but I played a '03 Cubs season. I wanted to see if they could win the World Series. They didn't. They didn't win it. I don't even think we got out of the first round, if I'm remembering correctly. Of course, I played the '08 Cubs again. Which is still one of my favorite teams of all time, even though they got swept in the DS way back then. So I used to do all these things on Out of the Park Baseball. And then I get married in the fall of 19, and I remember just before Thanksgiving, I was poking around on the internet, and I found Strat-O-Matic Baseball. And I thought to myself, I said, now wouldn't it be cool if I got this game and I made an entirely fake league with real players? That was the idea. Before I even purchased the game, that was the idea. And what I ended up doing is I ordered the game. I didn't think I would like it. And the reason why I ordered it is I felt like I was spending way too much time on my computer, and I wanted to kind of get away from computer screens, right? I wanted to kind of get away from video games. But I had never really played a cards and dice sports game. I remember, actually, let me back up for a second. I remember playing, this has got to be like 2004, 2005. I was like 14 or 15. Do you guys remember the MLB Showdown game by, oh God, what was the name of that company that used to be in all the malls? And it was Wizards of the Coast. That's what it is. This game, it used to be a gaming store that, I mean, I would have to look this up, but I think it only lasted like 3 or 4 years, because I remember as fast as it showed up in my mall where I grew up, it was gone. Like within a year, it was gone. But anyway, they sold this game called MLB Showdown. As a matter of fact, I think I don't have it here. I wish I could show you guys, but I still have an MLB Showdown set somewhere around here. And basically what it was player cards. Like, it looked like a baseball card. It had like the player picture on it. It had a couple stats on there, maybe a little bio. Some of them were even holographic. I'll put it up on your screen there so you could see what they looked like. And I remember, you never really bought a particular season. You just sort of bought packs like a trading card. So like you would open up, it would be like Mike Messina, Bob Wickman, and Hall of Fame Barry Larkin. Why? I don't know. Is Barry Larkin even in the Hall of Fame, as a matter of fact? Probably. Some of you guys will fact check me down below. Oh my God, I played that game for a long time. So Strat-O-Matic reminded me of that game, but Strat looked different because Strat, it said that the statistics were going to be very, very close to real life. Okay, I'm intrigued, and I bought it. Showed up right around November, December. I remember that Christmas break. I always take a couple weeks off no matter what job I'm working around Christmas and New Year. And I just remember playing that game. And I remember my wife teasing me and just saying, what are you doing? You're sitting by yourself and you're rolling dice at the kitchen table. What the heck is wrong with you? And, of course, I would always look at her and say, would you rather me do drugs, sweetheart? Of course not. And she says it in jest, and she's very supportive of my hobby. But anyway, I just remember getting absolutely hooked by Strat. And lo and behold, the timing, I mean, it was in the cosmos, as unfortunately the pandemic happened in February. It really started in December, November. But it really cranked into high gear in February, and then the lockdown started in March. And from March until basically that entire summer, I would quite literally carve out, because we weren't working really. We weren't really doing all that much. We didn't have to go anywhere. It was a very weird time for everybody. And I actually think that time period is really what exploded the hobby. I mean, Dave and Ron have said they started their podcast during the pandemic, and it's what got them through the pandemic. And Strat-O-Matic got me through the pandemic. And yes, I still played a lot of video games back then, but I remember playing, I think, 2 full 40-game Strat seasons of my Strat league. And I'll throw some photos and stuff up of my league, as I keep meticulous stats of that league, and I'll throw it on your screen so you can check it out. So I really get into Strat in the summer of 2020. And about a year, I never bought any other game. It was just Strat Baseball. And then about a year or so later, I got the itch to try the football game. As a matter of fact, I could pinpoint exactly when it was. 2021. I was coming back. I was flying home on my birthday, actually. I was flying home from the Bears-Buccaneers game in Tampa, Florida, and Tom Brady just crapped down our throats, and it rained. It was a monsoon before kickoff. So I'm sitting at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida, and I am soaked. I'm with my dad, and I'm soaked. I'm wearing a Khalil Mack jersey. My team's getting crapped on like 52-10. I don't know what the final score was, but it was a lot to a little, let's say. And I remember, we go to bed that night, and I fly home that Monday on my birthday. And as I'm in the air, I got the airline Wi-Fi, and I'm like, I'm going to get myself a birthday present. Let me go to Strat-O-Matic. And I was thinking of maybe buying a new season, or, I wasn't quite sure what I was looking for, but I landed on the football game. And I remember before we even landed, I pressed purchase. So then I did the same thing again with Strat Football, and I created a little league. And I've talked about this on the Dave and Ron podcast, Digital to Dice. I don't know what it is, but I just couldn't get into the Strat football game like I could baseball. And I would actually consider myself, maybe not so much anymore, but definitely 3 to 5 years ago, I would definitely call myself a bigger football fan. I mean, the Cubs are the most important team of my life. I mean, look at my freaking room, for God's sakes. But I would definitely say football, baseball, hockey are 1, 2, and 3. And depending on the time of year, it fluctuates. But I can't get into the Strat football game. And I don't know what it is about it. Maybe I should try it again. Maybe I should just make a video about it. Maybe that'll reignite my love for it. I don't know. We'll see. But just something about the game just didn't feel right to me. I didn't feel like it flowed the way that the baseball game flowed. So I'm on like my third or fourth season of baseball. We head into the summer of 2022. So this is last year. And I'm playing a lot of golf. And I told this story again on the podcast. But I'm playing a lot of golf. And I get an infection on my prosthetic. I had some open wounds in my prosthetic, and I get a bad infection down there. And I find out that I'm not going to be able to wear my prosthetic. At first, they told me it was going to be 8 weeks. Turned out to be about 4 months. So I say to myself, I'm literally sitting in a chair all day long, and I'm saying to myself, God, I need to, I love Strat, but I'm kind of getting tired of just playing the same 8 teams. And yeah, I get it. They're my fantasy teams and I made them up and it's a cool league, but I'm getting a little sick of Strat. I'm not really into the football game. And again, I'm poking around the internet and I find APBA Golf. And guys, when I tell you that game changed my life, and I don't use those terms lightly, it changed my life. And here's why. Because it's not that it's a particularly incredible game. It's a great game. Don't get me wrong. But it's not like it's one of those games that would like blow you away. And I've had some of those games where there's elements that have blown me away in terms of if it's creative enough or fun enough to play, or if it's detailed enough. I mean, every game is incredible in its own way for different reasons. And APBA Golf was incredible because I could sit there and play 18 holes of APBA Golf. And when I'm done playing my round, it truly feels like I played 18 holes of golf. I'm thinking through shots. I'm trying to work, okay, this guy's an 18, he's a 3 with his woods, but he's a 4 with his irons, and this is a 180-yard shot. So what club do I use? And you're really thinking through every single shot. And last summer, I really felt when it was done that I played 100 rounds of golf because of all the APBA Golf that I was playing, even though I didn't step outside to play golf one time the entire summer. So that really launched me into the stratosphere, because I had gotten so hooked on APBA Golf. I said, well, God, this game is so good. They got a hockey game. I don't have a hockey game. Let me get APBA Hockey. Bought it. Showed up a few weeks later. I created my little fantasy team. Played a couple games. Loved it. Hey, Strat's got a basketball game. I didn't really like the football game all that much, but the baseball game's pretty awesome. Let me try that. Loved it. And Strat Basketball will at some point be on this channel. That game, Ron on the podcast said that might be Strat's best game. I think he's right. I mean, the way that game flows and just it feels like a basketball game. And at the end of the game, you really do look at the stats and, wow, Steph Curry's got, he's 9 for 15 from 3 and he's got 39 points. Oh, that makes sense. And then from there, I mean, so really it was those. Oh, and then I started playing Dice United, which I just posted Dice United 2 on the channel earlier this week. And then I found Legends of Boxing. That's another game that needs to be on this channel. I played that a ton. So that kind of, I mean, we're talking 6 or 7 games that I bought in like a 3-week period. And from there, oh my God, I mean, I would just spend every single night on my phone when I'm laying in bed just watching YouTube videos, and oh, this game looks cool. Let me do this. Oh wow, that look. Oh, look, I've been looking for a basketball game. That looks cool. And then right around January-ish, same exact thing, sitting in bed, flipping through YouTube. That's how I like to go to sleep. I just lay there and stare at my phone and find a YouTube video until I pass out. And I find, trying to remember which one I found first. I think it was the golf game. And I find Play Games. And it was like opening up Pandora's box of sports games. Because what I love so much about Play Games, and I've talked about them a ton on my videos here, is there's just something about the way that they're designed where you can play an entire golf tournament in a few hours and it's pretty accurate and you feel like you've played a whole tournament. If you don't want to do that, you could do a one-on-one match play. If you don't want to do that, you could pick a golfer, pick a course, and play 18 holes. Their NASCAR game, Red, White, and Blue Racing, blew my mind how much fun that game is. That game still makes an appearance on my table at least once a week. Soccer Blast, same thing. Face to the Mat, same thing. And then it hasn't been on the channel yet, but second season, finally I find a tabletop football game that fits my flow, if you will, which that was a problem that I had with Strat Football. It didn't flow right. I don't like the way it flowed. Second season, and I'm kind of spoiling the video that doesn't exist yet, but second season is super simple because you got a run play, you got a defense, you roll the die, go to column X. Column X is right here, tells you to go here, it's right here. You may have to flip 1 or 2 pages, and boom, your result is right there, and there are thousands and thousands and thousands of results that you can get from die rolls. 1-yard gain, 12-yard gain, 35-yard gain, 31-yard gain, versus when you're playing Strat Football, for example, really there's only 8 or 9 outcomes on a given play. So Play Games really, my God, I think I'm on a mission to own every single Play Game at this point. And just their presentation is just flawless. I mean, did you guys see the new 75th anniversary Red, White, and Blue Racing set? That looks phenomenal. Can't wait to pick that up. The all-time great golfer set, it's sitting back here. I should grab it. That looks phenomenal. I bought it, haven't played it yet. Course Collection 20, where you can create your own golf course and play that. Just the creativity is through the roof with Play Games. And then, now I'm kind of circling back to brands that I found previously, like Stone Mountain Press. You just saw Stone Cold Hockey and Dice United 2 make appearances on the channel. I picked up Grid Zone as well. That'll be on the channel relatively soon. That's a fun and unique and totally different game. So that, I guess, is my overall story of how I fell in love with games. And now, what is the future of gaming for me? Now, I could do an entire weekend conversation on what is the future of gaming in general. But for me, right now, I think I have 15 seasons going on at the same time, whether it's golf, hockey, basketball, baseball. Some projects I've started, haven't finished. Some that I'm planning, haven't started. But that is the beauty of these games, is there's always another project that you could start. And I think at the end of the day, that is really what hooked me, is the fact that you never run out of content. Whether you're making a YouTube channel or not, you never run out of ideas. You can go backwards in time. You can go, pick up a team from the 70s and play baseball or hockey or football and see what happens. Or you could do what I do and completely create your own universe. And that's actually why I love the Stone Mountain Press games so much, like Grid Zone and Stone Cold Hockey. And you can even do it in Dice United. Create your own universe, your own leagues. Just because it's sitting right here, I just started my Stone Cold Hockey League, and I'll show you the cards. They're pretty awesome, I think. The Chicago Hawks, and I made these logos. I used like a logo maker or something. Pittsburgh Predators, New York Empire. They're the best team in the league. I think they've lost one game, I think. Colorado Rockies, Montreal Maroons. I think that's my favorite logo. Boston Braves. Let's see, who else? Minnesota Wolves. I'll show you those two teams. Detroit Wings. Pretty much the Red Wings. Toronto Thunderbirds and Philadelphia Eagles. It's a whole made-up league with made-up players. And it has been really, really cool to see that league develop. I'm only 5 or 6 games into my season, and you could, right out of the bat, see teams that are really, really good, teams that are struggling, or when they play each other. This team's really struggling, this team's really good. Let's see if, like, Colorado played New York. Colorado's like 1-5 through the first 6 games, and New York is 5-1, I want to say. Well, they faced off last game, and Colorado had a 3-2 lead heading into the third period, and they held that lead all the way till like 5 minutes to go, and then New York blasted 2 goals late and won the game. And I was a little disappointed by that because I love rooting for the underdog. But, I mean, I just created an entire universe that I'm playing through that doesn't exist to anyone else but me, but yet these games make it real. And I can go on for hours and hours and hours, but I don't think you want to hear me ramble anymore. That is how I fell in love with tabletop sports games. And, God, it's just, I literally, and I never thought I would be this guy 5 years ago, or what would that be, 4 years ago, when I found Strat Baseball. But I never thought I'd be the guy, I was always the guy who would wrap up work and then run downstairs and get on the PlayStation. Now I'm the guy who does my work quite literally, like right here, and then, shut the computer, and boom, we're in the SCHL Week 6, and Chicago's in Detroit, and it's a rivalry game, and let's see if the Hawks can beat the Wings, or the Predators can beat the Empire. And you're there, and it's the power of the imagination. I talked about this also on that podcast on Digital to Dice. I've dropped their name like 4 times now. The computer, or the video game is not creating the world for me. I'm creating the world myself in my brain. And I think that ends up being the ultimate appeal of these games. So I think that's all I really have to say on our first weekend conversation. I hope you guys like this format. I know it's just me rambling for a little while, but I want to get you guys involved because I want to eventually turn this into a live stream. I got a couple things I got to figure out in terms of like equipment and things like that. But I want to do like live streams of this on the weekends. On a Saturday or Sunday morning when nothing's going on. I want to hop on a live stream and pick a topic and let's talk about it. But tell me down below in the comments, what is the thing, or what is the catalyst, or what got you into tabletop sports games? Why do you love this so much? Where did that come from? For me, to sum it up in one sentence, I think it was that desire to make my own worlds, but also make the worlds feel real. And I think I've certainly accomplished that goal. And it's no credit to me. It's all these games. These games are brilliant designs and well executed. And man, I'm so glad to be a part of this community and that I found these games. So that'll do it for the first episode of Weekend Conversations. Again, get involved, guys. Get down in the comments. Let me know your stories. I can't wait to read them. And I do read every single comment, even the nasty ones. There haven't been that many of those. But I do read every comment and try and reply to every single one of them. So let's get the conversation going. Tell me your story. So that's it for Weekend Conversations, and we will see you next time.